hey! Yeah, what was it? I saw somebody, they started off everything like that. I thought it's a bit stupid. I just thought I'd do it for this one. Hi. So I'm going to tell you about my time with BMX in the 80s. They were great times. They were great days. All initiated by, of course, E.T. I saw E.T. when it came out, and the bikes just, I wanted one. And so the local bike shop didn't sell BMXs. No local bike shops really did back in the early 80s. They weren't a thing. They were just becoming a thing. For a short time they would. Although they're still around, it's true. So we had to go to a particular bike shop near a bridge in Dublin city centre to collect a bike that my dad had ordered. There wasn't any choice. This was Ireland, this was the early 80s, and a BMX bike was a BMX bike, and they got me a BMX bike, a Marlboro. It was red and kind of grey tones on it, and it was a great bike. It was my first BMX, and I did a lot of things on that bike. I did street stuff. I was on the street, and when I say I was the only kid in town with BMX, I literally was the only kid in town with a BMX. I never met another kid. In one town I did, but in my hometown where I'd be for weekends, where I did my street BMX, there was no other kids with BMXs. It was just me, so I was alone doing my stuff. There was no video of anything. There was a couple of magazines coming out of the UK that I got by delivery, BMX Monthly and BMX Bi-Weekly and such things. But you know, there was it was like step by step how to do the tricks and things, and some of them I could do, many of them I couldn't do. I used to love bunny hopping, just bunny hopping. One summer I set up a ramp no bigger than that, let's say, yeah? No, definitely no bigger than that. And I got 12 kids to lie down shoulder to shoulder on the ground behind the ramp, and I jumped them. 12 kids. I wish there was photos. I really do wish there was a photo. There's not even a photo of me anywhere on my bike, I don't think. There is one, but it's just me standing on my bike with some friends. So no tricks. So that was pretty awesome, clearing 12 kids on a small ramp. And I went to a BMX summer camp one year in a big old, at the time I think it was a school, and now I think it's like a 4-star hotel. And it was the only BMX camp that was around. So I did it for a week, and it was really good fun. They had a quarter pipe there. All the other kids, there wasn't many, there was maybe 8 or 9 kids doing this camp. And they were all from Dublin. I was from the countryside, and they were all from Dublin, and they were all older than me. My nickname was Titch because I was the little guy, and they were all much bigger than me, many years older. They had a quarter pipe, yeah, and they were pulling some basic things on the quarter pipe, up, flip, and back down again. I never pulled up the balls to do the quarter pipe. I contemplated it deeply, but the camp was too short. It was only a week. I think the quarter pipe only showed up for the last 2 days or something. So I had no time to commune with it and to feel it, to do it. So that was the only time I ever came across a quarter pipe. Never again did I come across one. Another time, there was a BMX race happening in the city near to the town where I lived. And so I entered. I think the guy that ran the bike shop in my hometown must have found out about it, entered me in it, and I remember the day. It was like a Saturday morning, nice day, and my dad drove me and the guy from the bike shop and the bike into the city to the BMX track. I'd never seen it before. I'd never been on a BMX track before. It's the first time I've ever seen a BMX track. So it was crowded. It was an event happening, and races going on and things. So I got to cycle around the track once, and that was it. It was a good track. It was like bumps and a tabletop, and yeah, it was cool. So I cruised around it once, and that was fine. Then the races were going on, and finally the announcer said that they had made a mistake and that there were 2 riders who should have gone in the last race that didn't, and that was me and another kid. So now, instead of me being in a BMX race in a group of kids, it was head to head with another guy. And this other guy, I think he lived local. Probably most of the people here live local that were at the track that day. And he knew the track. I didn't know the track. I had gone around it once, like I say, just slow cycle. So there's me and the kid with our wheels on the plank, ready to be dropped and take off. And the race goes, and we're tumbling down towards the first double bump, and I crash and burn. Boom! I crash and burn. Straight away, I'm gone, out of the race. The handlebars twist around into my stomach, hurt me pretty bad, take a bad fall. That was it. No more BMX racing for me. I never was a racer. I like to just play on the streets, do my tricks. I used to love doing the frame stand, where I would get a big long stretch, ideally going downhill, of open road in front of me, and I would pick up speed, and I would jump up, grab the saddle bar between my ankles, and I would stand up on the bike, and then I would outstretch my arms, and I would fly along for as long as my momentum would take me. I remember my dad was quite shocked when he saw me the first time. He was sitting in the front room of the house, reading the paper or something one afternoon, and the wall at the front of the house is up to a certain level, so you couldn't see the bike passing by as he looked out on the road, but he could see me standing on top, so he just saw me flying along with my arms outstretched. He didn't know what to make of this at all. So yeah, frame stands were my favorite things. I like doing endos as well. Endos, particularly nice curb to do an endo on. Even today now, when I'm walking, I consider all the little corners and edges of curbs as I pass them, thinking, oh yeah, that'd be good for a bike, that'd be good for my bike, and things I would do if I was a child again. BMXing was great fun. It really was great fun. Maybe one day I'm going to have a half pipe, an indoor half pipe. How about that? That might be cool. Yeah, but really, not really, not so much. No, not so much anymore. Not interested. So that is my BMXing. Yeah, I was in the UK then, and when I was about 8 or 9, and I wanted a BMX, what the hell they call them, costume, suit, thing, branded, BMX, pads on it. So I got one, and it was, can't even remember the brand of what it was, but I got it, and yeah, it was like sportswear basically, and I quickly found that I don't really like sportswear, so I went back to wearing my jeans, my hoodie, my t-shirt, and that was it. I did have a helmet, a red helmet, no face protection, just the headgear, and I wore that occasionally, but because it was quite comfy. It was really, really rudimentary. You would not call this a helmet by any today. You would call it maybe part of a Halloween costume, but it was comfy because of the thick, cheap foam on the inside of it on my head, so it was quite comfortable to wear. I also had gloves that I used to wear, fingerless. They were leather, red and white leather gloves. They were good for grips and stuff. I was on that bike a lot. I really pumped a lot of calories on that BMX. It was such good exercise. I remember the day where I think it was the end of my childhood and a step into adulthood. I was on my BMX on the little roadway where I would do my biking stuff, and a car appeared over my shoulder, nowhere close to me, but it appeared, and that astounded me, because I used to always know before that car would be there. Like, not that I'm saying anything magic, I had a vision or anything, but as soon as the car would be making sound in my area, I would hear it, and I'd be aware of it and alert to it. But it seemed that my attention was now someplace else. And I say that that's the point where I went from being a child, like a part of, much more integrated part of nature and the world around you. And that was the point, I think, where, well, certainly I was slipping into a more adult brain, not paying attention to such little things like a child would. So yeah, so do I have anything else to say about my BMX? Not really. Oh yeah, one house we lived in, there was this old lady who lived next door to us in an old cottage from an old farm, and our house was built on a part of her land that she sold to my father. And as part of the property, there was this first story up an old concrete stairs into a loft, which I guess was used for storing things for the farm. Now it was nothing, and we were allowed to have this as a part of our property. So up here I used to ride my BMX, it's true, with a guy that I cannot find from school, and he used to be a BMXer too. And looking back, it was a great relationship. He was a really fun guy. He was a good friend. I had a lot of good friends, and I move on. I don't maintain friendships much. But it was interesting because I was probably one of the richest kids in town back then. My dad had a really good job in the 80s in the public service. He was a civil servant for local government, but he was the top. And this guy that I used to play BMX with, he was just about the poorest kid in town, I would say. Genuinely, I'd say he was one of, anyway, you know, he was nowhere near wealthy, his family or anything like that. But we got on brilliant, and I've been unable to track him down. So if you see me, Jarrah, I'm looking for you. Love to see you, hope you're doing well. That's it, that's about all I can tell you about my BMX. Oh, did I tell you I didn't. I worked as a BMX instructor and demonstrator at a summer camp one year. And how I got that job was kind of cool. I don't think this stuff happens anymore. But on Saturday afternoons, on nice days and when I wasn't doing something else, I would go down the town where I lived, down one of the streets where my bike shop was, that I would get all my repairs and everything done in. And I would just do my freestyling on the footpath outside. And it turned out that I was spotted, and a guy contacted me to say, I'm running a summer camp and I'd like you to be the BMX instructor, demonstrator. So I was like, totally cool. So I was maybe 10 or 11, I was very young. I guess it was my first job. Maybe not, but first one I had to go to every day for a week or maybe more, maybe a few weeks, I don't recall. But it was great fun. One day, I had done a frame stand. I did a routine showing off all the tricks I could do for the kids, and they would try to imitate and I'd help them out. And one day, a kid, just at the far side of the big yard, like a big schoolyard probably was, I saw him and he was getting up to do a frame stand. I saw him standing up on his bike with his arm down, and I was like, oh man, you ain't going fast enough. and how right I was, and he came off the bike pretty quickly. So I don't know why he didn't ask me. Like, he's like, he should have said, hey Mike, I'm going to do a frame stand. Any advice? And I was like, yeah man, you got to pick up speed. You got to pick up speed. But he didn't do that. So he fell off and creamed himself. He never even spoke to me, this kid. He never even spoke to me after or before or ever. I hope he's okay today. If you're watching today, kid, I hope you're doing good. It was a good effort. It was a good effort. You just need to pick up the speed. So that's it. BMXs are great. BMXs are great. It's a sport. I don't watch sports. But if it's like an Olympic or a X Games, BMX, yeah, I'm interested. I might watch that. It's a beautiful sport, BMX. Stay safe. Enjoy your biking. Bye.